Gaza's path to recovery might be jeopardized by Israel's decision to shutter the UN Relief and Works Agency, both in the enclave and over in the West Bank. Israel's ban on the agency UNRWA comes into effect today. So let's now cross live to UNRWA Communications Director Juliette Touma. Juliette, thank you so much for joining us today. This is obviously a terrible, really, news that we're hearing that UNRWA has to halt its activities today because Israel's put that deadline on them. But I guess the main question that we need to ask is what kind of effect is this going to have on the Palestinians?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, our teams on the ground, whether it's in the Gaza Strip or across the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, they are continuing with the delivery of services. We don't have much idea on how the Israeli government plans, if it does want to plan, the implementation of this bill.
So we don't know if they will actually physically make you stop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so you see, we haven't received any communications from the government of Israel on how it will implement this bill. And
right,
so
well, that's
our focus right now...
That sounds like a positive thing. Maybe they've forgotten, they were too busy. I don't think so, though. Julia, you know, let's talk a little bit about since the ceasefire started. We've heard that a lot of aid is getting in. Is that true? Is enough aid getting in? What's UNRWA doing right now for the people in Gaza?
So over the past 10 days, since the ceasefire started, we have seen indeed an increase, a significant increase in the flow of humanitarian aid that was brought into Gaza, distributed to people. 60% of all aid that came in was brought in by UNRWA and distributed to reach hundreds of thousands of people, including in areas that we were not able to access before, like northern Gaza. So that's very welcome. Now, if this ban on UNRWA comes into effect, then the fate of the ceasefire is going to be put in jeopardy because we are the largest humanitarian operation organization in Gaza.
That's actually a question that I was wondering perhaps you could answer because, as you said, one of the stipulations for the ceasefire was to get aid into Gaza. So if they do block you, I mean, if somebody comes down today and you know, picks up everybody up that works for UNRWA, by the way, approximately how many people are working in that area?
We've got 13,000 people working for the agency in Gaza. That was before the war. Just under half of them are working. So we have, give or take, 5,000 people working with us in the humanitarian operation. And yes, you're absolutely right. If the agency is banned from working in a place like Gaza, then yes, the ceasefire that's currently ongoing, that we really hope that it would continue. The fate of that ceasefire, however, is going to be in serious jeopardy.
Indeed, indeed. You know, I wonder, you said at the beginning there that around 60% of the aid that gets to the Gazans comes through UNRWA. What's the other 40%? Is there another organization out there, God forbid, that Israel does in fact remove you from 5,000 people, removes you from Gaza? Is there an alternative agency out there that can help these people?
There isn't. There isn't. UNRWA is by far the largest. The second organization in the United Nations in Gaza, as one example, has just over 200 people. We have over 5,000, right? So we have also the reach across the Gaza Strip. And we have something that is often underreported, and that is the trust of the communities in Gaza. They know UNRWA, they trust UNRWA. For them, UNRWA is life-saving. It's the doctor, it's the nurse. it's the person who's giving them a box of food or of aid. So there is that trust, which is very unique to UNRWA.
All right, Juliette, while I have you, if, for example, Israel does say, look, we've banned UNRWA, there's nothing you can do about it, are you expecting, do you have anyone that has your back? Does the United Nations Council, the Security Council, or anybody in Brussels, do they have your back? Will they pressurize Israel into keeping you in the country?
Look, there's been excellent solidarity from countries around the world and from within the United Nations to help with not implementing this bill, to put pressure so that this bill is not implemented. So let's see what happens. But meanwhile, our focus in UNRWA is to stay and deliver as much as we can to people who depend on UNRWA for their sheer survival.
Juliette, are you guys just in Gaza now, or are you also, we're hearing, trouble in Jenin, in the West Bank. Are UNRWA operating okay there?
We operate in 5 areas of operation. We have offices in Syria, in Lebanon, in Jordan, in the occupied Palestinian territory that includes the Gaza Strip, and also indeed in the occupied West Bank. The situation in Jenin camp is very, very bad, and it continues to go from bad to worse. Most of residents of the camp in Jenin have left the camp, and we had to stop our operations, for example, schools and clinics, because people left the camp and because it was too risky.
Yeah, very, very disturbing indeed. I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Juliette Touma, UNRWA Director of Communications. A pleasure. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.